We are the ones who start nowhere and go everywhere. Our journey begins in silent places of possibility, where we discover not wilderness, but a blank canvas. The unknown is where we feel alive. With raw materials and wild ideas, we take chances, take risks, take creative liberties. We are the ones who make brilliant mistakes, because that's the only way. To make what hasn't been yet. Say something vivid and true. Share parts of the same dream. Live like the truth is on us. And keep this future memory. We are the ones who are building a creative union, vast and connected. Join in.
I'm Johnny. And
I'm
this is Steve. And we're 2/3 of the brand leaders for 5 Points. Dave Lewis is the third founder of 5 Points, but he's out in LA right now actually manning a pop-up shop. So he'd love to have been here, but other duties called. So we are a pop-up brand, obviously called 5 Points, that is all about artistic-minded areas, popping up in artistic-minded areas that people will either appreciate or want to be surrounded by creative experiences, creative goods, and other experiences that hopefully inspire you yourself as a consumer to be creative. We have goods that come from emerging artists. We do workshops that range from really lo-fi, like the mural that we had outside, to showing people the creative process of how we make the stuff, as well as interactive workshops where people sit down and create something with us over a couple of hours and then walk away with some tangible piece that they can remember that experience from. We started April of 2014 with, basically it was a one-night event at the Belger Art Gallery, and it was basically a tabletop of product to kind of test out what we were all about. We were very thankful to work with Michael there. He gave us an opportunity to really see if the concept would even be well accepted. We had a small body of product that we had collaborated with different artisans on, as well as made ourselves, and showcased those goods. We were introducing the 5 Points and what those mean, which Steve will get into here in a little bit, for the very first time, to see if that even resonated to the consumer. It went really well. In fact, so well that we upped the ante the next go-round, which happened on June 14th at 19 Below Gallery. Maybe some of you had attended that or knew about it, but it was over another evening, probably about 4 or 5 hours, and over the course of that we had probably close to 1,000 people come through, which was amazing. It was packed out all night, and people were really telling us that we were onto something here. So really exciting time, because from that point we said, okay, Kansas City gets this, and that's awesome because this is our home base and where we're from, but we wanted to see if other folks, outside our friends and family and our circuit, would they get it as well. So we took it to San Francisco in the Mission District, once again keeping in mind the creative-minded areas. We went to the Mission District on 24th Street, so if any of you have been there before, it's a very unique mixed culture area that has a lot of unique small individual shops. We designed all of our product and merchandising, as you can see in these last couple of photos, to fit whatever space we would be in, so we have that modularity and flexibility to a custom. So you can see similarities that was even in the 19 Below, but this was a much narrower space, so we designed it accordingly. And it went very well. We were very pleased to see that San Francisco got it and was really giving us a lot of great feedback. One of the things that we take from being a pop-up and a learning structure, we take feedback very seriously from the consumer, and we shift at any given point based on what they tell us they think of the space in positive and negative. One of the things that we felt like we learned in this space is people wanted to hang out and do more with us. We had a mural in the space, which can't quite see, it's around the corner there, but and we had some other interactive pieces, but people wanted more. So over the last summer, we popped up in Venice Beach, where we rented a temporary space for 3 months and actually had a patio area, which you can kind of see down there on the right, where we hosted workshops. This is the first time we were really getting involved of saying, okay, we'll do a workshop here and there. And by the end of the summer, we were doing a workshop every weekend because the demand was so great. The workshops were free. We just wanted people to embrace the idea of being creative with us, and it worked quite well. And then hopefully from that experience, they look at the goods that are made by our team and the other collaborations with other artisans, and hopefully want to take a piece of that with them. And then this is just some shots from our current store. We are back in Venice Beach just for the fact that there were so many pieces that we felt like were other business facets that we could explore. We literally heard from dozens of people that we said, okay, let's test it again in the same area. So we're back there for another 3 months. And we are testing out in the back of the shop, there's what we're calling an art bar, where you can actually sit down at a countertop and do creative workshops at the bar with us. You can have a coffee, you can have a cold beverage, whatever, and get creative with us. And we are doing a workshop literally every weekend. The difference there too is we're doing a sort of a lo-fi upfront part of the workshop where you can participate, and then there's a significant tangible that you can take away from it if you want to. Example being, we have a mantra building workshop that Steve will tell you about, and then if you want, we would hand letter it for you and laser etch it for a wall hanging. So you could make that decision, or you could just walk away with this really fantastic mantra that you created. We're also testing out a few other pieces, customization, events outside of our space, and so forth. So get into that a little bit.
So yeah, based on everything we do that John's been talking about, there's one foundation, which is these 5 points. And so you can see them up here. It's 5 words. They're very simple, very high level. It's make, say, share, live, and keep. And we arrived at these, we kind of distilled the essence of an exploration we did just into what makes for a successful pop-up space. So we looked around the country at what was really popular, what was connecting with people, what do these types of shops and spaces have in common. And we distilled it into these 5 words, which have kind of informed not only our space, but also our product collections, and also the types of experiences that we offer. They all line up to these 5. And so a little more detail on that. So make is kind of about the creative process and viewed on the spot and participated in on the spot. So that's maker experiences and activities in our space. Say is about self-expression. So that's what do you want to wear or display or do to kind of express your own personal statement. We try to provide that. And then share is about the social piece. So that's, like John said, hanging out with other people who aspire to be more creative and kind of doing it together. And then live is about being inspired to live a more creative life. It's about the lifestyle. And keep, finally, is about the memory keeping. So that's like, we want to provide the kind of experience there that you really take away with you. And what is that? What does that look like? We really wanted that to be kind of, again, one of our 5 foundational kind of experiences.
And this has really been the foundation on everything, whether we're creating product on our own or we're collaborating with other artisans. we find a point that resonates for both parties. So some people are really passionate about sharing out, some people are passionate about the making process, the self-expression piece. We determine what that strong point will be and then focus in and use that as a foundation for creating the product. And we found that that's a really great guideline to build everything upon. So it's worked out pretty good. An example of one of those collaborations, so some people may or may not know about it, a fantastic illustrator named Rotenberg. She's currently located in Atlanta. She's a good friend, but she's also somebody that we really early on knew we wanted to partner with. She particularly has this passion around pineapples. Maybe you guys saw some of
we had some 3D ones out there.
Yeah, the 3D ones being printed. Those were actually from her collection, so we thought we'd share those with you. But wanted to share a little bit about our work process and how we get to a collaboration with an individual artist. You see, this is actually a clip from her actual sketchbook. She just sits and draws these, and she says she's been drawing these since she was a little girl. And she doesn't quite know why, but she does have a story around it, which we loved. We took the bits of that story. She said they were all about these characters that bring and hold on to these moments within your life that are either important or that you've forgotten about, but it's great when you're reminded of. And we said, wow, that seems like a really great place to play around the keep point and the idea of keeping those moments, those gems within your life. So we began the process of what we call vignetting. And if you look at the sort of the left hand of this photo, we took some of her illustrations, we took some other assets from other artists, writers, some industrial designers. It's kind of hard to see a couple of these, but there's some ID drawings in there and so forth, and really tried to play that story out of what that would be. And then we let that story dictate what formats we would pursue and actually execute that play that story out well, versus it's the opposite of, okay, we've got to do all these formats and then trade dressing those things. So we let the story lead the format. So for instance, what formats could you keep something of personal value in? How could you want to be reminded of those moments? What formats would play that out? And so we started to test out what some of those things might look like from a rough standpoint, and these were just literally comps. Like I said, we determined that was the keep point that we would play into. Steve and some other writers came up with these great mantras that kind of capture the essence of what we wanted this collection to be about. And then you can kind of see this is how it was executed in store. We tried to capture the whimsical nature of her, brilliant madness with these pineapples. The wallpaper design there was really kind of an homage to her sketchbook, and then the products really kind of played that out in a lot of different ways around that keeping piece. As well as we had some limited edition pieces that we always do in every collection, where there were only a certain small number made that were handmade by the artist, and once they're gone, they're gone. However, everything that we do in 5 points is based on a scarcity model to some level. We don't do anything in mass quantity. We believe that that's a true way to honor the creative ideas that go into it, and a great way to turn over product quicker. So even when you see something like a t-shirt that's easy to silkscreen many, we pick a number, right amount, and then if that sells out and we still want to sell it, we change the colorway so that the people that invested in the previous t-shirt or poster or whatever it might be, it's different each time, and they feel like they have a unique piece from that artist's vision. We did a mural out front, which was very well received. People Instagrammed it like crazy. And that was really fun to see that popping up over and over again, and how they were sharing it out and the things that they interpreted it to be. One thing that Steve has been brilliant on as far as the voice of 5 points is we like to keep it, give enough information to the consumer just enough to start to tell a story, but then enough to let you make it what you want it to be for yourself.
Thanks, by the way.
Yes. Yes.
One example of that, too, I want to point out, we identified the phrase malaloa, which is Hawaiian for forever, and just kind of didn't explain it, just put that as kind of a design element. And if you wanted to seek that out and Google it and figure it out, it definitely tied into our keep point, the idea of keeping something forever. But it was kind of almost used as a design element.
Yeah. And in every collection, too, we experiment with different processes. We're always pushing ourselves as a team. There were things in this that we had not done before, like foil stamping wood veneer. That was something that we had never done before, but turned out to be a really successful piece. Some new formats as far as some of our cut and sew goods. So we're pushing ourselves as well as experimenting and pushing the artist collection. So to celebrate that collection kickoff, Allie came into town, and this is Allie up here on the top right. We did a workshop that was around what she really wanted to kind of focus in on. She does these whimsical characters. It seemed like a natural fit to do an animation workshop with her. So one of our key caveats to the workshops is we have all different levels of skill sets that come in to the shop that want to participate. You got some people that have no artistic background, and then you've got people that are really good at what they do. We make sure that the workshop can be accessible to all that range. So what we did is I penciled in the keyframes and Allie inked all the frames, and then we gave each individual frame to artists, and they created their own piece from that, just drawing around the piece. And some people did writing, some people did these great little illustrations, some did just abstract art, and it really became fun to see. It was a really great tapestry seeing all these pieces together. The end goal was that we would all take those cells, create an animation. They had put their social media, their Instagram on the back, and we had socialized it as, hey, look at this animation that we all created. And here's that animation. And it's really simple. So you can see the pineapple kind of morphing into a diamond shape and kind of going over and over again.
So we'll all trance out for a minute.
Yeah. Seriously, I'm getting sleepy.
Oh, no, I've got to talk now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like John was saying, the idea behind our workshops is we really want to take the mystique out of creativity for people who just aspire to be more creative. It's all about taking the fear out. It's about, I can come sit down with other people and just try something out. It's casual, it's informal. We don't have like a rigid schedule. You can come and go. But an example that I really enjoyed being part of was an editorial workshop where we invited people to craft their own personal mantra or personal statement. We had one participant call it a word selfie, and we kind of ran with that.
Yeah, that's good.
So the idea was that you come in and we give you a very simple assignment. You sit down at our art bar with other people, and we tell you to take one of our 5 words. So you remember it's make, say, share, live, or keep. So pick one of those 5 and then write a sentence based on one of them. And then after you've written your sentence and everyone else has done theirs, then you hand yours over to someone else. And then we had some fun prompts that we handed out that kind of are different poetic techniques or just clever ways to restructure a sentence to make it more memorable or more catchy or meaningful, more clever. And what you did was you took a new blank card and you took your friend's sentence and then you rewrote it using one of these techniques. So you could completely shake it up, but it kind of retained a little of the essence. We did a few rounds of that with different prompts. And so by the end of the workshop, you ended up with a mantra that was your own and that you felt personally inspired by and it was meaningful to you, but it also had all of the contributions of the other participants kind of embedded in it. So that was very gratifying. I had one woman afterwards say, you unlocked something in my brain I didn't know was there. And it's like, wow, that is cool. That is so cool.
Heard.
Yeah.
Also, amazing thing that's come out of these workshops, you get all these people that a lot of times are strangers to each other.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, they're exchanging their information and they've obviously connected. And when you ladder back up to the points and you think about the share point, and the self-expression and lifestyle, it's like, wow, this foundation is really hitting at different levels.
Yeah, and that's a great piece. It's all about the shared creative experience. It's about doing it with your friends or with new friends that you make.
Yeah.
A couple more examples of workshops. The next two were just more or less an opportunity to express yourself using paints, markers, other art materials with an item that we provided, and then you could take with you afterwards. So we did a custom laser frame, which was basically a wood veneer picture frame, that we also gave you an option of customizing it with another editorial mantra of your choice. But then you could sit down with other people and decorate yours and then take it with you. We did that also with a terracotta pot that you could paint and personalize, and then we offered the option of buying a cactus to go with it. Cactus is one of our main motifs, if you haven't noticed.
We show techniques on how we would go about doing it, so
Yeah.
that for the people that are like looking at this blank object and they're like, where do I start? We kind of give them some easy things to think about. And some people just jump into it, especially kids. They don't care.
Oh,
They'll jump in, go right into
We love
it.
that. The mural
Fearless,
too.
I love that.
There's always a row all along our mural of all kid drawings, because
Yeah,
that's as
you
high as
see
they can stand.
The bottom of them.
The last two are based on, these were led by local KC talents. So Courtney Shelton, who has a blog called Hybrid, she's in town, and she's also an amazing calligrapher and hand letterer, designer. And she came into LA and led a hand lettering workshop, which was very popular. Marcelo Mesquita led a workshop called Broken Canvas, which was basically every participant, yeah, it's the one in the middle, every participant got one of these wood squares and then did their own illustration or design on it. And then on the spot, Marcelo was just taking all these and assembling them into this very cool skull-shaped face up on the wall, and it was kind of phenomenal to see this coming together and then seeing how all these individual contributions kind of were reflected in the main.
And of course, everyone puts their Instagram on the back, and we socialize it as this. The finished piece is created by all these people.
Yeah, and like John said, we started informally just doing these like in our first month here and then it turned out people were kind of say, when's the next one? I've got some ideas, you should do X, Y, and Z, sign me up for your email list, and so we made it a regular thing, and we're looking to expand it even further.
So what we're working on now, and some of the things that we're trying to figure out based on feedback, and this is what we're doing in store in our new shop as well as back here in Kansas City, is one is how to figure out how to deliver the online interactive experience after you've visited the shop or after we've left town. There's a great engagement while we're there. People feel like they're a part of something, and when we pick up and leave, they're like, okay, how do I stay part of this? I want to keep doing this. So we feel like that's a huge piece that we need to keep focusing on, and we're actually taking steps to figure that out now. The other part is how do we retain our essence and the spirit of what we're doing in the creative celebration in other people's retail space. So that could be, what does that look like from a tabletop standpoint to an actual corner of a store. But the idea being is that if you understand what 5 Points is about, you can go in and there is some element that retains those key pieces that we're all about. Take our workshops and experiences on the road. That's basically the idea of doing workshops in other people's spaces. And we've begun to do that already. We got an offer mid-October with a group out of LA that had an amazing space in the Arts District down there, and if any of you have been there, it's an amazing new redevelopment area. It's fantastic, and they invited us to be a part of an event, and we were the creative experience for the evening, and it was amazing. And there is a video online that we'll put up on our site. We just got the link. We'll put it up on our site if you want to check it out. It's a pretty nice little produced video. Continue to just discover and partner with new emerging artists. That's just an ongoing piece of work we do. We are always looking for new people. We get people submitting stuff all the time. There's a lot of talent out there that just does amazing stuff, and some of them really get what we're trying to do, and so we sit down and we talk to them and see if something can vet out, and next thing you know, we're doing something together. It's pretty cool. And then the idea of just building the creative union, keep building that, and keeping it vast and connected is really about keeping it accessible and keeping it broad for everybody to feel like they can be a part of it. It's a really important piece that we want people to feel. And that's kind of it. You can check us out on any of your social faves. It's just always, we are 5 points with the number 5.
.com.
And then you can go to .com, same thing, and yeah.